Hello, this is Allison, and I'm going to be reading Coraline, the graphic novel by Neil Gaiman. Chapter 5. Her mother hadn't returned from her shopping expedition, hungry, so she made herself some toast with jam and peanut butter and drank a glass of water. When it began to get dark, she microwaved herself a frozen pizza. Ding! She waited for her parents to get back. Then Coraline watched television. She wondered why grown-ups gave themselves all the good programs, why with all the shouting and running around him. After a while, she started yawning. Then she undressed, brushed her teeth, and put herself to bed. In the morning, she went into her parents' room, but their bed hadn't been slept in and they weren't around. She ate canned spaghetti for breakfast. For lunch, a block of cooking chocolate and an apple. The apple was slightly shriveled, but it tasted sweet and good. For tea, she went down to see Mrs. Spink and Forceful. She had 3 digestive biscuits and a glass of limeade. It tasted bright green and vaguely chemical. She liked it enormously. How are your dear mother and father? Missing. I haven't seen either of them since yesterday. I'm on my own. I think I've become a single-child family. Tell your mother that we found the Glasgow Empire Press clippings we were telling her about. She seemed very interested in them. She's vanished under mysterious circumstances, and I believe my father has as well. We'll be out all day tomorrow, Caroline Lovey. We'll be staying over with April's niece in Royal Tunbridge Wells. They showed Coraline an album with photos of Miss Spink's niece in it, and Coraline left and walked down to the supermarket. She bought 2 bottles of lemonade, a chocolate cake, and a new bag of apples. She went back home and ate them for dinner. She ran herself a bath with too much bubble in it, dried herself and the floor as best she could, and went to bed. Coraline woke up in the night. She went into her parents' bedroom, but the bed was made and empty. All alone in the middle of the night, Coraline began to cry. There was no other sound in the empty flat. She climbed into her parents' bed, and after a while, she went to sleep. Coraline was wakened by cold paws batting her face. Hello, how did you get in? Have you come to tell me something? Do you know where Mommy and Daddy are? Is that a yes? Will you take me to them? The cat walked the length of the hall and stopped by the full-length mirror. It had once been the inside of a wardrobe door and had been hanging there on the wall when they moved in. Mommy and Daddy! Reflected in the mirror were her parents, sad and alone. Her father said something, but she could hear nothing at all. Her mother breathed on the inside of the mirror glass and quickly before the fog faded, she wrote, "Help us." They aren't going to come back, are they? Not under their own steam, sorry. The cat blinked at her. Right. Then I suppose there is only one thing left to do. Police. Hello, my name is Coraline Jones. You're up a bit late after your bedtime, aren't you, young lady? Possibly, but I'm ringing to report a crime. And what sort of crime would that be? Kidnapping. Grown-up napping, really. My parents have been stolen away into a world on the other side of the mirror in our hall. And do you know who stole them? Coraline could hear the smile in his voice, and she tried extra hard to sound like an adult. Extra hard to sound like an adult might sound, to make him take her seriously. I think my other mother has them both in her clutches. She may want to keep them and sew their eyes with black buttons. She may simply have them to lure me back into the reach of their fingers. I'm not sure. The nefarious clutches of her fiendish fingers, is it? You know what I suggest, Miss Jones? No, what? You ask your mother to make you a big old mug of hot chocolate and then give you a great big old hug. There's nothing like hot chocolate and a hug for making nightmares go away. And if she starts to tell you to go off or waking her up at night, this time of night, why don't you tell her that that's what the policeman said? He had a deep, reassuring voice. Coraline was not reassured. When I see her, I shall tell her that. Click. The black cat, who had sat on the floor grooming its fur through the entire conversation, now stood up and led the way into the hall. Coraline went into the kitchen and found a box of emergency white candles. She put an apple into each pocket and took the old black key off the ring. Back in her bedroom, she rummaged in the pockets of her jeans, found the stone with the hole in it, put it into her pocket, and walked into the drawing room. She had the feeling that the door was looking at her, which she knew was silly and knew on a deeper level was somehow true. When I was a little girl, when we lived in our old house, a long time ago, my dad took me for a walk on the wasteland between our house and the shops. It wasn't the best place to go for a walk, really. There were sharp things back there, and Mom said there was tetanus and such. But I kept telling them that I wanted to explore it. So one day we put on our boots and gloves and went for a walk. We went down this hill to the bottom of a gully where my dad said suddenly to me, "Coraline, run away, up the hill, now!" Now! So I did. I ran away up the hill. Something hurt me on the arm as I ran, but I kept running. As I got to the top of the hill, I heard something thundering up the hill behind me. It was my dad, charging like a rhino. When he reached to pick me up in his arms, he swept me over the edge of the hill. The air was... The air was alive with yellow wasps. My dad stayed and got stung to give me time to run away. His glasses had fallen off when he ran. I only had one sting on the back of my arm. He had 39 stings all over him. So later that afternoon, my dad went back to the wasteland to get his glasses back. He said if he left it another day, he wouldn't be able to remember where they'd fallen, and soon he got home wearing his glasses. He said he wasn't scared when he was standing there and the wasps were stinging him and he was watching me run away because he knew that he had to give me time to run or the wasp would come after both of us. Clunk. The door swung open, and he said that wasn't brave of him just standing there and being stung. It wasn't brave because he wasn't scared. It was the only thing he could do. But going back again to get his glasses when he knew the wasps were there, when he was really scared, that was brave. And why was that? Because when you're scared but you still do it anyway, that's brave. Coraline heard something moving in the darkness. It seemed to be keeping pace with her, whatever it was. And that's why you're going back to her world then, because your father once saved you from wasps? Don't be silly. I'm going back there because they are my parents. And if they noticed I was gone, I'm sure they would do the same for me. You know, you're talking again. How fortunate I am having a traveling companion of such wisdom and intelligence. Hiss. She was going to say something sarcastic in return, like sorry, when there was a scrambling and pattering, and Coraline could feel her heart pounding against her ribs. She put out one hand, and something wispy like spider's web brushed her hands and her face. At the end of the corridor, the electric light went on, blinding after the darkness. Coraline, darling, Mom, darling, why would you ever run away from me? Coraline was too close to stop, and she felt the other mother's cold arms unfold her. Where are my parents? We're here, ready to love and feed and make your life interesting. Come on into the kitchen. I'll make us a midnight snack. Hot chocolate, perhaps? Coraline pulled away from the other mother, left the drawing room, and passed before the mirror in the hallway. There was nothing reflected in it but a young girl who looked like she had been crying, but whose eyes were real eyes, not black buttons. I will be brave. No, I am brave. I don't need a snack. I have an apple. See? The other father looked disappointed. The other mothers smiled, and each of her teeth was a tiny bit too long. You don't frighten me. They did frighten her very much. I want my parents back. Whatever would I have done with your old parents? If they have left you, Coraline, it must be because they became bored with you. Now I will never become bored with you, and I will never abandon you. You will always be safe here with me. They weren't bored of me. You're lying. You stole them. Silly, silly Coraline. They are fine wherever they are. I'll prove it. And she brushed the surface of the face of the mirror with her long white fingernails. It clouded over as if a dragon had breathed on it. And then it cleared, and Coraline was looking at the hallway all the way down to the front of the door as it opened. That was a fine holiday. How nice it is to not have Coraline anymore. Now we can do all the things we always wanted to do, like go abroad, but we were prevented by having a little daughter, and take great comfort in knowing that her other mother will take better care of her than we could ever. The mirror fogged and faded once more. See? No, I don't see, and I don't believe it either. There was a tiny doubt inside her, like a maggot in an apple core. She saw the expression on her other mother's face, a flash of real anger, and Coraline knew that she had seen more in the mirror was no more than an illusion. Coraline sat down on the sofa and ate her apple. Please, don't be difficult. Bring me the key. The rat chittered and ran back to Coraline's own flat. And returned, dragging the key behind it. Why don't you have your own key on this side? There is only one key, only one door. Hush. You must not bother a darling Coraline with such trivial questions. Click. Trivialities. We aren't going to have a midnight snack. We still need our beauty sleep. I am going back to bed, Coraline. I suggest you do the same. She placed her long white fingernails on the shoulders of the other father and walked him out of the room. Locked. Coraline was indeed tired, but did not want to sleep under the same roof as her other mother. Oh, it's you. Oh, wait, I forgot to show you the picture, sorry. Oh, it's you. See, it wasn't so hard to recognize me, was it? Even without names. Well, what if I wanted to call you? Calling cats is an overrated activity, maybe as well as call a whirlwind. What if it was dinner time? A simple cry of dinner would do nicely. Why does she want me to stay here with her? I think she wants something to love that isn't her. She might have something to eat as well. It's hard to tell with creatures like that. Do you have any advice? The cat looked as if it were about to say something sarcastic, but flicked its whiskers instead. Challenge her. There's no guarantee she'll play fair, but her kind of things loves games and challenges. What kind of thing is that? I'm going inside if I were you. Get some sleep. You have a long day ahead of you. And then the cat was gone. Still, he has a point. He crept back into the silent house and passed the closed bedroom door inside, which the other mother what? Slept, waited, and then it came to her. It's an empty room, and it will remain empty until the exact moment that I open the door. Somehow that made it easier, though she still checked for rats under her bed. Nothing here. She climbed into bed and fell asleep with barely enough time to reflect. As she did so, on the cat could have meant by a challenge. And that is the end of chapter 5. Chapter 6 will be in the next video, and I hope to see you then. Goodbye.